COMM 3325, 3 speeches. The first one I'm going to do is the training presentation. Can y'all introduce yourselves?
Sally.
Gloria.
Jose Rodriguez.
Stephanie.
Mom.
Can you hold that for me? Okay. So, have you ever experienced a time where you didn't really want to eat cake, you were craving something super sweet, or maybe you were dieting and you were trying to find the dessert that you really wanted to eat? Well, this project is for those who are either trying to have a gluten-free dessert, trying to trick their eyes into eating something better, or just wanting to do something for summer that's cool and refreshing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a regular watermelon. I got seedless because I didn't want anybody to have to pick through their little cake. And what we did with this one is we cut it off on both ends, right here and right here, to make it stable and stand up straight. And then we took off all the green skin to just leave the remaining red part of the watermelon. So I'm going to move this so we can work. Okay. Now the first thing we do was we patted dry the watermelon with a paper towel, because if you do this while the watermelon is still wet, it's not going to stick. So you just pat it. Make sure that it's still going to be moist, but you got to make sure that it's mostly dry. Should be good. Okay. I bought cream cheese from the store because I don't know how to make a good frosting. So that's what we're going to do. And we're just going to stick the frosting onto the watermelon.
Oh, wait.
And I do it just enough to coat it.
Whoa. Hey. Say hi. Stop.
Sorry, this is a little process.
Hi. Hey.
You just got to make sure that you cover most of the watermelon because we're going to put toppings on it. And you don't have to use cream cheese frosting. You can use any kind of frosting you want, as long as it's a pretty thick frosting that it'll stick to the watermelon. It's always a show when I'm recording the speech. Making sure that I'm getting it covered up here in the front. Now there's different additions that you can add to it. For instance, if you wanted it to be colored, you could add food coloring to your frosting before mixing it. Or you could decide that you want to do sprinkles. There's an edible glitter that you can do, but for that one you have to mix it in before you apply it. We're almost done coating. Alright. Alright, now you see how that's pretty much, you can't see the watermelon at all. You can kind of tell. I like to tell myself it kind of looks like a red velvet cake underneath. So I'm going to add almonds. I bought prepackaged sliced almonds at the store. You can use walnuts, pecans, cranberries, whatever you prefer. And you're just going to kind of stick them on to the watermelon on top of the frosting. You're going to have to pat them down just a little bit to really make them stick. And I bought a big package. You can do as little or as much as you want. This is pretty hands-on and messy, so feel free to really get in there. So that's all I'm going to do for now, just for the sake of time. But if you want, you can, and you would cover the entire watermelon. Now, to decorate the top, I've had cut strawberries. And you just kind of put them on top like a little cake topper. And there you go. Let me get a knife to cut it.
Mine.
Not prepared. Here we go. So people will look at your cake expecting a regular cake, but you will slice in to reveal a watermelon cake.
Yum.
Thank you, guys. Ah, it's falling. Okay, so we're gonna set this aside so we can continue on with the next speech. Okay. For my next speech, we're going to be talking about move it just a little bit. No, that's okay. It works like that. Scooch back a little bit more. There we go. Okay. Okay. Now this speech is going to be my persuasive speech. Okay, guys. So let me ask you this. Have you guys ever gone to a birthday party expecting really good dessert? Because honestly, who cares about the food that they're serving? Everybody goes to a birthday party for the cake. Now, have you ever walked into one and we're looking at the dessert table and they have all these new little things, cake pops, muffins, cookies, biscottis, candies, chocolate fountains, but everything is centralized around the cake. And that's really what people pay attention to. Now, if you look at all the desserts that they have around, you'll notice that The cookies are untouched. The muffins are kind of just sitting there looking bland, flavorless. And everything else is appealing, but you're thinking to yourself, I want cake. I don't want to stuff myself with all these other sweets. Let me eat what I really want to eat. So we have a new idea called half and half cupcakes, where we're going to combine 2 flavors into 1 cupcake to allow people the option of eating the whole cupcake, enjoying 2 flavors at once, or giving them the option to only eat half the cupcake if that's what they want to do. But let's first start off with why all the other desserts do not qualify to belong in birthday party status. Let's start off with the cookies. Everyone knows cookies are only good when they're served with milk. If you don't have milk at a birthday party, don't set out the cookies. No one's going to want to eat the cookies because they leave that dry thickness in the back of your throat that you just can't seem to satisfy without a glass of milk. Secondly, cookies are either really dry when they're store-bought or when you're trying to make them at home, the chewy, yummy kind. They can get too chewy and almost rubbery-like that by the time everyone's trying to eat the cookies, they're no longer flavorful. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is almost like a cupcake, but a little bit more on the bland side, the muffins. You have your basic breakfast muffins, blueberries, banana nut, plain banana, cinnamon, raisin. They're all great before 10 a.m. Usually when you have a muffin, you're going to want coffee or some sort of tea because it's your morning go-to. You've already had your muffin for the day. You don't want to eat another muffin when you're at the birthday party. It's just not what you're expecting to eat when you get there. So when we get to parties, like I said earlier, we focus on the cake that's being served. And the cakes are elaborate and they're beautiful. But who can cut those things so proportionately that everyone's going to get the exact same size? If you ever noticed that if you get in the front of the cake line, you're going to get huge, hearty helpings of that cake, where they cover the entire plate. But if you're the unlucky one and you get stuck at the end of the cake line, you're getting little slivers that'll last you, if you're lucky, 2 bites. So you're not really getting to enjoy the full extent of that gorgeous, magnificent cake while you're seeing plates scattered all around the party hall with huge leftover pieces that nobody could finish. So that's why we want to introduce you to cupcakes. Cupcakes are the new trend happening for kids' birthday parties, for office functions, and they really offer the ability to be versatile, and that's what half and half cupcakes is all about. We introduced the idea of having 2 flavors into 1 cupcake, from 2 frostings, 2 jelly mixes on the inside, and 2 cupcake flavors baked into the cake. We offer the options of having the second flavor on the inside to be baked into a star or a heart. So when you cut the cupcake in half, you can see the shape, or the normal circle ones, as well as offering the 2-tone frostings. As you can see here, on this one we have a swirled cupcake, and on the top we have chocolate frosting and vanilla frosting, and we added sprinkles on top to that. And these individually wrapped cupcakes really are the new go-to for birthday parties. When you think about it, cupcakes can be given to each person, and because they're individually wrapped, everyone gets the same portion, so nobody feels overwhelmed or underwhelmed at that when they receive their cake. Cupcakes have the soft and creamy texture that we all love of cake, but offer the greatness of the size of a muffin that we all appreciate, without having to worry about the crumbling cookie that we all hate. So with a different approach to fillings and frostings and cupcake design, half and half cupcakes is really what we want to focus on in the future. And we hope that everyone as consumers would really appreciate that. So what would you say that you would like about having a cupcake instead of a normal cake?
The frosting.
The frosting. You would appreciate the double frosting?
Yes.
And you?
The 2 flavors in the cake.
Inside the actual cake?
Yes.
And what about you?
The 2 flavors.
The 2 flavors? And that's what half and half cupcakes is really all about. The ability to offer our customers 2 flavors wrapped in one. Instead of having a huge sheet cake that has half vanilla, half chocolate, everyone has the option of eating the double flavors in their one serving. So to really set yourself apart at your next get-together or party, we encourage you to purchase half and half cupcakes for your next event and really set yourself apart from the rest. And I really appreciate you all sitting here and enjoying our speech, and we hope that you encourage your local bakeries to get involved with half and half cupcakes. Thank you. Okay guys, for this one I'm doing an impromptu presentation, which means that I'm going to give you 3 topics to choose from, and from those 3 topics you're going to pick one of them to talk about. You're going to give me a little bit to come up with some notes, and then I'm going to deliver a speech.
Okay.
Okay. So your 3 topics are going to be family life, school life, or learning how to drive. So I'm going to give y'all a minute to think about it, converse with each other, figure out.
School life.
School life?
Yes. School life.
Everybody feel
Yes.
school life?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. So give me a couple seconds to write down my notes.
I'm going with this. What's that? That one's the best fighter.
Okay, guys. Are y'all ready?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. So everyone starts school at elementary usually. But for me, I started in an all-day pre-K. And I think that really helped me as a student to learn all the basics before actually entering into real elementary school. At my pre-K, it was a church-funded pre-kindergarten, so it was taught at a church, but it was still a Texas-certified curriculum. So what we would do is the first half of the day, we would learn about colors, numbers, how all the shapes, and then we would have lunch and a nap time, and the second half of the day would focus on physical activity and getting us to be aware of our bodies and minds, and also have kind of like a church service only for preschoolers. And I think that helped me as I went into kindergarten because I already knew the basics that were going to be taught very quickly in kindergarten and expected to have already learned. After I finished at the church, because they only offered kindergarten, I went to a regular elementary school. And I actually went to 2 different elementary schools. The first one was when I lived in our old house. So I went there from kindergarten through 4th grade. And over there, school was, you had a different teacher for every subject, almost like high school and middle school. So it was very different when I transferred to my new elementary school that I only went to for 1 year, where I only had 2 teachers. One teacher would teach reading and writing, and the second teacher would teach math and science. And the first teacher also taught history. Just remembered that. I was like, I knew I had history in there somewhere. So that was kind of a different phase for me. While the beginning was very easy and simple because I had grown accustomed to it the first 4 or 5 years of school, it was very different in 5th grade because I had to adapt to the new environment of not only a school, but also the differences in teaching. Because you only had 2 set teachers, you weren't constantly moving around. You were in 2 rooms all day long, which was very difficult, but I became accustomed to. Then I went off to middle school, which was scary at first, having to be on your own and going from class to class, choosing your own classes for the first time. It was exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. In middle school, I did orchestra all 3 years of middle school. I went from being a beginner in orchestra to my second year in 7th grade. I was in the advanced orchestra, but in my 3rd year of middle school, I was in the highest orchestra that competed at state level. So it was exciting to see myself adapt to that as well in middle school. But that changed very quickly when I got accepted into high school. I got accepted to it's a public-private high school where it's free for students and families. You don't have to pay any tuition fees or anything. It's just based on how smart you are. You had to have completed so many community service hours, be in so many clubs, and have a certain grades throughout your middle school years. So it was a college prep school, so it was basically in middle school you were preparing yourself for high school the way you would prepare yourself in high school for college, which benefited me in the long run, I believe. So by being accepted into this public-private school, I had to dedicate myself very hard to not only my schoolwork, but also to my community as well, which is one of the reasons why in high school I stopped being in orchestra, because orchestra took up a lot of my time, and I actually had to work for it. I had no natural talent with it. I had to practice and practice and practice it. So in high school, I switched from my fine art from orchestra to choir, which is easier for me because I believe that one is somewhat a natural talent for me. And that's what I did in high school. And throughout high school, I also had to continue up with keeping my grades up, because if you didn't keep your grades up, you would be removed from the school because it was reserved solely for those dedicating to keeping their grades up and to dedicating time to the community. But I made it all 4 years. I actually graduated half a year early from high school and started school at Houston Community College. Because I graduated, high school ends a little bit later, their semester does, than the university did. So thankfully, Houston Community College had this program called Late Start, where the classes start later than a normal semester, but you still go full time. So it's not like a mini-week, 8-week course or a mini 5-week course. It's still the full time. You just are, instead of 16 weeks, it's 12 weeks of a class. And so that's what I did for my first semester, and slowly over the process of 2.5 years, I earned an Associate's in Arts from Houston Community College, which was a big feat for me since I'm a single mom, so it was really difficult to push through all of that. But I got accepted into the school I am currently attending, which is the University of Houston, but I have been accepted into the Victoria branch, which is based in Victoria, Texas, which I'm sure all of you are very familiar with. We drive through Victoria when we go to McAllen to visit our family. So you probably never seen it. You actually have to get off the freeway and drive a little bit to get to the campus. But what I do is I take mostly satellite and hybrid classes, which means that the classes are offered in person here in Houston, and it's funded by the main University of Houston. But we have our own dean, we have our own counselors, and we are offered different degree programs than the regular University of Houston, which I really enjoy. And currently I'm studying English literature, which I'm hoping to pursue a job as an English teacher in the secondary field. So after I finish here at University of Houston, Victoria, I plan to join the voice program, which allows me to spend a year as a probationary student teacher where I get paid to be a teacher, but I'm still learning as a student, which is really good for me because it allows me the opportunity to really understand what it means to be a teacher, what I have to do as a teacher, and it prepares me in a way that I think benefits me more than a regular student teaching where I just observe and eventually take over a classroom. Instead, it's total submersion and I have to learn right away and adapt myself quickly, which I think is a better option for me. So that is pretty much my school life from the time I was 4 years old till now, 20 years old, and hopefully till when I'm 23 when I plan to graduate with my teaching certificate and my bachelor's. So I hope y'all enjoyed my speech. Thank you so much for listening.